Welcome to Marked Close One, where we talk about how sales and marketing work together. We skip the theory and business school buzzwords to give you practical strategies you can use today to fill your pipeline and close deals faster. Let's get to it.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining again for yet another podcast from Marked Close One. I have my friend, in this particular instance, a very long-time friend, Joe Moghaizel, Mr. Allwaysgood. Joe, would you believe that it's been nearly 40 years since we've met?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, man. Like I sometimes I forget I'm actually in my mid 40s.
I feel you. I feel you as well. It was my birthday last month, and it's like, when the heck did I get so old? I don't know if I was ever cool, but it's like I feel like I'm still cool, but I don't know. We'll see. Dude, I first off, I appreciate you just jumping in on this one. Guys, what the topic on this one is borrowing audience, how podcast guesting drives leads without actually having to start a show. And I could not think of somebody that was better than Joe here. Joe, if you would, kind of dive into a little bit of how you found yourself here. What did you start? What is this movement that you've been creating? And kind of just let everybody know.
Yeah, man. And again, John, thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I've always an honor, man. And all the listeners, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this, whether or not you're listening to it for the first time, you just found the show, whatever it is, but you've decided to spend some time with us, and me. And so I'm going to give as much as I can to make sure that this is valuable for you. So diving into what I'm doing now. So I am the CEO, co-founder of the Aligned Speaker Academy with my partner, Jenny Trask. And the way that we both got into the world of public speaking was through business. So in 2019, I started my first company after, wow, man, let's see, I got into sales in 2003. And so it had been a while, 16 years or actually, what was that? Yeah, somewhere around there. Sometimes it's hard to do math, but let's just say I was in sales for a long time. At that point, I was actually the North American inside sales manager for a multi-billion-dollar company. I'd grown that team from doing $35 million a year in business to right around $60 million a year in a little over 2 years. And I was ready for a new challenge. I wanted something different. I wanted to be doing more, and I knew I could do more than just managing those 50 people. And so I started my first company, sales training organization. I got basically all of my leads and sales, my business, from networking and then speaking at networking events. And then May of 2019, I started the company. I quit my job in June. And then we all know what happened early 2020.
Right.
A lot of pivoting, a lot of changing, but it made the whole, like, everything fell apart for me at that point because I wasn't doing any virtual speaking. I wasn't doing any public speaking this way. I wasn't speaking to audiences on podcasts. I was just doing live in-person stuff. And that's still my absolute favorite. I love being on a stage in front of people. There's something about it. The energy of the audience is there, but I realized that, you got to use technology. I was already using it for sales meetings with clients. And coaching with clients. So why wouldn't I start getting into the world of doing it? But I didn't want to start a show.
Right.
I knew
there's a lot of work when it comes to it, man.
Yes. And that was outside of what I wanted to do. But then I met Ginny. We started talking about like how crazy it was that we were in like the same circle of people for years. And we met in 2022. And then at the end of 2024, going into 2025, we started the Aligned Speaker Academy. And we have a program called Momentum. I also have a free gift for your audience that just for showing up. We're going to help you out with some stuff that can definitely
fantastic, man.
teach you a little bit more about what it is that we do, but realizing that, man, podcasts are huge. Not only are they huge, but the audience is on average college educated. On average, they make $75,000+ a year. And on average, they listen to you for 25 minutes. And those numbers together make being a guest on a podcast magic if you know what you're doing. So that's how I got to where I am today. And that's what we do. We teach people how to be guests on other people's shows and to capture those leads to grow their business.
Dude, you're literally like driving right into the first question that I wrote down for you with that one. So first off, thank you for that introduction. But I mean, for anybody that's new to this, what does guesting on a podcast actually look like? And what I'm saying is from a strategy perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, number one, right, the very first thing, the most important thing, and that's a great question that you asked, John, is you have to get out there, right? If you're not visible, if you're not visible in every way you can be, podcasting, you're doing Facebook lives with people, you're doing LinkedIn lives with people, you are doing all those things, you're going out, right? It's marketing. The thing is, though, is that I'm assuming that everybody who's listening to this, if you're in business or if you're in sales, you know that what you're selling works. You know that what it is actually helps other people. The problem is, though, if you can't be found, they're going to go find someone else. They will, guaranteed. And what are the odds that that other person can do it as well as you and has your ethics? Probably not that good. I mean, that's just the
Right.
reality of it, right? So, what you want to do as a podcast guest is to get on in the very beginning of it, just get on as many as you can without worrying about the audience. I know this is
Hmm.
crazy, right? People say all the time, you only want to talk to your ideal customer. Yes, and
And
and if I was in a stadium, let's just say I live in Houston. So if I'm in an NRG stadium and it's a packed crowd, there's 70,000 people in that audience. And I was to be able to come over the loudspeaker and say, stand up if you're a business owner. You think there's gonna be some business owners in the audience? Yes.
you would sure think so. I mean, yeah, of course.
Odds of that not happening are small, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I said, and keep standing if you are sick and tired of posting and praying on social media and want another strategy.
Right.
Okay. Now I
Hmm.
have my ideal audience. Ah. Now, if I say, and if you'd like to learn how to get more leads and more business without social media and having fun doing it, come see me behind row 125, behind section
Hmm.
125.
Hmm.
Right now, I got my audience, right? It's the same thing as
That
being
you
a
do.
guest on a podcast,
Yeah.
right? Is everyone always going to be my perfect, ideal target clientele, target demographic? No. But I'm going to talk to enough people that it's not going to matter.
Exactly. And I would say even in regards to that one as well as you've got all the secondary as well. You might have it of where that direct person is not your ICP, but they might know somebody. And if it was something of where it was impactful enough to remember, they might suggest to, check this out, go to this place, listen to this. And it will just be able to kind of cultivate and build that audience itself.
Yeah.
So, Joe, I'm going to throw this one out because I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to stuff like this, and I'm sure a lot of the audience is as well. I understand because I'm in the midst of it. Building an audience for your own podcast is a grind. So, when does it make sense to guest on other people's shows instead of building your own audience from scratch? And then why is that specific? You kind of already highlighted a little bit of it, but I want to kind of get a little bit more pinpointed in it.
Yeah. Another great question. Here's the thing. I knew right away I
Hmm.
was, I the amount of work and effort, the amount of effort, not the work. It's not hard work. It's just effort, consistent effort of doing it, right? I knew for me, it wasn't in the cards right now.
Hmm.
And it's still not. Now, I've dabbled with it. Don't get me wrong. I have done baby podcasts. I say baby
Right.
podcasts. I had one that did like 8 or 9 with a friend and colleague. They had another one that did like 4 with someone else that was gonna, we're gonna do our thing. But
Yeah.
that was it. And that was just kind of dabbling to kind of get an idea. Like, do I even want to do this? Right. But here's the thing. You kind of have to pick and choose a little bit.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
it's never a bad idea to guest on other people's podcasts, even if you're building your own, right?
Right.
If you have an hour, 1 hour a week to be a
Hmm.
guest on somebody else's show, I'm assuming everybody here listening has that hour. I'm assuming, I could be wrong,
They could
but I'm
find it.
assuming you probably got it. So if
Yep.
you have an hour, you can go and be a guest on somebody else's show, and then you get to have their audience. So again, now you're branching yourself out there more, right? It's all about the exposure. And in the beginning, right, the hardest part about building anything is building momentum. It's the hardest thing we do. So if you're trying to do it all on your own by bringing in guests on your show, but you're just putting it out there, hoping that it's going to eventually get bigger, it's going to be hard. But if somebody hears you on somebody else's show that already has an audience of 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 or more, like in our program, we have podcasters that have 500,000 plus downloads every episode
Right.
that our clients get to be on. They have a chance to be on it. The show hosts get to determine everything, but we have the ability to recommend them and connect them to each other, right? So, but if you have that, is that not going to help? Even if you're building your own podcast, to be
Right.
able to have that opportunity. So
Mhm.
there's never a bad time to be a guest on a podcast, regardless of what you're trying to do on your own. Because again, it's about, right, like it starts with getting out there and getting that visibility, but then, right, you really have to be able to dominate your niche,
Mhm.
right? So, and being on other people's shows, having, you know, imagine at the end of a year, you have 100 different podcasts you've been a guest on, and you're trying to build your own podcast at the same time. I'm
Right.
not saying trying. At that point, you're probably building it, right? But
Yeah.
now imagine, though, somebody goes to Google what you do. You think 100 podcasts that you've been on as a guest, plus the ones you're putting out on your own, are going to make Google love putting you up in the results, make AI love serving you to other people?
Man, I would sure think so. I mean, even with just a year, if you were able to do, 100, so that's 2 a week, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself a couple weeks off.
Yeah,
But, I mean, that is a massive amount of content.
it
And
is.
let me throw this one at you because, you're staking your life on this one of building out this structure and being able to help people with guesting on podcasts and so on. What do you consider is like the fundamental difference about like podcast guesting compared to other market channels? And I'm saying like, i.e., let's say ads, webinars, social media, cold outreach, all of that jazz. How do you see and how is that set apart?
Another great question. So, by the way, everybody, I just want you to know in advance, Jon was going to tell me the questions he was going to ask me. I said no. I don't like doing it that way. So I'm getting these questions raw for the very first
These are
time.
all ad hoc.
Yeah, I'm answering with 100% I know to be true. Number one, cold outreach sucks. Okay, it sucks, and
It's
here's
awful to
why.
do.
Have you ever been a cold caller in sales? I mean, okay, look, if you're a
I'm raising
business
my
owner, you're doing
hand.
some of it anyways. But it's the lowest return on investment
Mhm.
in amounts of time to client is cold calling. It's roughly a 1%. You're going to get something. Okay, so
Mhm.
same thing with cold outreach. Like if you're paying to do cold outreach through email, you're paying a lot of money for those leads, and those clients are the most
Right.
expensive ones you're going to get. So you
Right.
better hope they stick around for a long time. Okay. Now, number two, let's go back to what I said earlier. 70+% are college educated on a podcast that listen to podcasts. Okay. Does that exist on Facebook? No. Does that exist on YouTube? No.
I would
Does
assume
that
no.
exist almost anywhere else? Maybe LinkedIn. Maybe. And also, 75+% make $75,000 or more per year. Okay. This is listeners of podcasts, the statistics. And if I'm off by a couple percent, I guarantee it's not much. And that last time I looked it up, things change in 4 or 5 months. I don't look it up constantly. I just know what they are. From when I decided this is what we're going to do. They don't change much either way, but nonetheless, they make 75 plus grand a year. Facebook doesn't have that. TikTok
Yeah.
doesn't have that. No social media platform has that. But podcast listeners are not there specifically looking for a social media outlet. And oftentimes they're not going to podcasts just for entertainment. Yeah, Joe Rogan's an exception. Okay. But Joe Rogan's like, the biggest of the big. And he was also famous before he started his podcast. So, he's got it's a leg up at that point. Now,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to it for knowledge. They're coming to seek something. They're not coming, no one's coming to Marked Close One just for the fun of it. They're coming here because they need something. They have a problem to be solved. And if you are the expert that's helping them with that, and again, this is why I love guesting. I'm on 100 podcasts as that expert. If they've heard me on one and they hear me on another and then they hear me on another, oh,
Well, and you're just able to establish a ton of trust with it as well.
that's the
With
time.
it
That's
being
the next part I was
especially
getting
like
to.
a long form question. Yeah.
Yeah, right? You're right there. It's the time. What are we hearing about? Everything, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. It's all shorter, 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 right? So you get 6 seconds, 15 seconds. But in the podcasting world, listeners on average stick around for 25 minutes. That's power.
You're actually kind of already starting to answer the next question that I had for you listed, man. With why do podcasts seem to create trust faster than you would say other platforms? And is like, what is it about it that format that makes people say, yeah, I like this person. I understand where they're coming from. I appreciate their point of view. Kind of list goes on.
Yeah. So it's time. This is
Mhm.
literally all it is. Time spent.
Yeah.
It's the amount of information you're able to provide that person that's going to then lead to reciprocity. It's a psychological principle, folks. I give you something at some point. If I've given you enough, you will feel obligated to give to me. It's just the way it goes. Okay. So same thing, right? We spend 25 minutes listening to a podcast and we're like, wow, right? They start to feel like they get to know you. They get to trust you a little bit more. It's not just about that, again, that short little tiny snippet of, I had you for a minute and 30 seconds and oh my God, that was
Right.
amazing, right? No, they get real information, right? And this is why in our program we do this, right?
Mhm.
This is why, like, I've built this entire business with Ginny and I. We've built this entire business, public speaking exclusively, podcast guesting. We also do some live events, right? That's kind of like the next step for our clients as well. We help them with that in our program, but that's why we have our clients specifically focused on the guesting side of it. Because again, 25 minutes twice a week. This is why I said an hour, guys. If you have an hour once a week to do this, if you spend on average 30 minutes on a podcast recording it as a guest, you can do 2 in a week, right? It's not that difficult.
Right.
Especially with our program, again, it includes, we have a database of podcasts and we connect every single week. We introduce our clients in our program to 2 podcasters a week. We introduce them to each other so that they have a chance to actually get on that show without having to go through an application process on a website, just click here, fill this form out, yada, yada, yada. So we kind of get to, jump past a little bit of the gatekeeping with it too.
Right. Dude, let me ask you this one. So let's just say that our listeners are like, okay, I like this idea. I can understand where guesting would be of a benefit from like an SEO perspective, from just a general lead. How does the general lead portion of it work? How does it actually generate leads and start filling that sales funnel?
Thank you very much for that one, because you walked me right into the point
I
I
was going to
wanted to
say,
make
it's like,
anyways.
let me cue you up for this one. So that was a lob.
Yeah, it was. That was a change up right down the middle, telegraphed. So here we go. I remember I said I have a gift for the audience.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where it comes into play. All right, because because you're building authority as you're guesting on a podcast, right? That's part of what it
Mhm.
is when you're on all these podcasts, is you become an authority in that space. Here's the deal: if you're not capturing those leads, you're wasting your time. And how do you capture those leads? You have to have a great lead magnet. I have a gift for the audience, and it happens to be greatleadmagnet.com, and we will teach you how to specifically make a great lead magnet so that you can capture leads. All you got to do is give me your name and email address.
Fantastic, man.
All right.
Can
So
you
what
hit
am I
that? What's
doing
that
there?
website again one more time?
Greatleadmagnet.com.
Perfect.
And we'll teach you how to make a great lead magnet. It's right. I mean, look, and I'm telling all of you that yes, I'm going to capture your lead, and yes, you will get emailed, and yes, you'll be in my ecosystem. This is how you get leads from being a guest on podcasts. Because if you're not doing this, and this is something I tell all my clients know this, and every podcast that's in our database knows. If you do not allow them to give away a gift to your audience, you do not put the link in the show notes, you do not allow them to capture leads from your show, we're not going to let them on your show. And two, don't do it because you're wasting your time. And this isn't about anything but business, right?
Hmm.
Like, yes, you're my friend. I've known you for almost 40 years. I'm doing this because it's something that is important. I love to teach about it, but it's also
Yeah,
to grow my business, you
exactly.
know?
Exactly.
And,
I love it. And so, I mean, even going kind of further into that one. So, where have you seen podcast guesting impact like the sales funnel as a whole? I mean, is it mostly just top of funnel awareness? Do you see it also when it influences, I'm kind of making this up as we go, let's say consideration, increasing conversion as a whole? Does it even maybe affect like retention? Where have you seen it mostly have that impact?
well, obviously, it is top of funnel right away, right? This is a top of
Right.
funnel activity. However, because the people that are coming into your ecosystem from this have spent so much time with you, you're already a little further in that process of it's not just a lead, it's a
Hmm.
very warm lead. So it generally tends to lead to a faster conversion because once you get them in the ecosystem and you start emailing, and we also teach our clients to email at least 3 times a week, every week, daily, if their stomach can handle it.
You're right.
Some people they're like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. Maybe you should, but that's okay. I'm not going to should on you. That just no one wants to be should on. That's just not fun.
No, no, not at all. No, that's not good.
So it's just it right top of funnel is where it starts, but it also helps the conversion because once you get them on a sales meeting, the odds of your converting them into a sale, as long as they can buy, they're probably going to because they already feel
Right.
that reciprocity with you, and they
Hmm.
also feel like they already know they like you and they trust you. So it really does. Top of funnel is where it starts, but it helps the conversion as well.
I like that a lot. It, kind of going back into the guesting on different podcasts, like what separates the, I don't know if a better way of saying it besides like meh guest appearances versus the ones that like actually move the needle and move it for the guest business. What have you seen from that point?
In the beginning of you getting into the world of being a guest on podcasts, the thing you're trying to do is to get good at it. Okay.
Right.
Right. I have been on well over 100 podcasts. The
Hmm.
thing is, the funny part is, I didn't also realize this, and this is another important one. Make sure that they're actually going to get published. Okay. I have been
As,
on so many that the show never happened. It's like, because I didn't know in the beginning when I was doing this kind of stuff that these people were just starting a show and they didn't have anything. I was just being invited. And I'm like, okay, cool. But you know what those were for me? Practice. And every single one I get better. But once you've done 50,
mhm.
you are in a different league as a guest. And so now you can start wanting, I mean, not want, you probably wanted to the whole time, but now you can actually start getting on the bigger ones. So as
Yeah,
you start getting into ones that have 20, 30, 40, 500,000 downloads, that's not listeners, that's downloads. Okay. You're in a different what you better be good at it because you don't want to blow that opportunity. You don't want to get on a show that has 1 million listeners for the episode, half a million download it, and you
mhm,
f it up. Okay, you
right.
don't want to do that. Sorry, I didn't know if I could cuss or not, but it's just who I am.
Right.
Uh, so
It's
but
all right,
that's
homie.
what it is, right? So if you don't want to do that, so it's got to get good first.
Yeah,
Once you get good, start getting into the better ones. I don't consider myself the best guest ever, but I guarantee you, I'm as a guest, I'm great at what I do.
exactly. Dude, you've already basically answered this question, but I'm going to lob it back at you. Because I want to have the listeners be able to hear the difference on this one. From what I understand, when you're first starting, just getting into guesting, get onto every podcast that you can, just because you need to basically be able to tailor yourself to be a good guest. But here's my question. How should someone choose which podcast to target? Now, are we going to be talking about audience size, niche relevance, host, different forms of quality in regards to it, buyer fit, vibe, and then what matters most if you want ROI and not just, vanity points?
Great question. So again, right, like you said it just right. In the very beginning, it's about doing it, just getting the repetitions in, okay? Well, we also teach a formula of exactly how to go through the process of how do you start the beginning of the process, how do you end the process, right? This is all part of what we do.
Mhm.
And so it's getting used to doing it that way. And also getting used to being able to, like a politician, steer a question to where you can get the point out that you want to if they're not asking the right questions for you. Okay. So, and then of course, still answering their question. Don't ever leave them hanging. It's just rude. But as we get further along, you start getting into, you start getting better at it. You want to start specifically looking for shows that are relevant to your industry, to your
Mhm.
product, that might have your buyer listening, like truly focused for them. And then as you start getting better and better and you start going to bigger and bigger and bigger, you stop caring so much if it's the exact perfect audience because it's just so big, right?
Mhm.
That's where it changes things to where we're not being as hyper focused anymore. Okay. Now, we're still going to want to focus on, like, if, again, if your thing is, I teach people how to bake cakes, that's your thing. You don't necessarily want to be going on a gigantic podcast that's just about, diabetics. Okay. It'd be a bad thing for you. It'd be a bad thing for you if it was like, right, you went to a speech that said how to scuba dive, and you get there and they're unpacking parachutes, right?
Right.
You don't want that, okay?
No,
So,
you definitely don't want that.
right. So that's kind of how it goes. And I know some of that seems a little vague, but it's just about, in the beginning, who cares? Get the reps in, but do it the right way. You're still going to get some leads from it if you're out there enough. Then fine tune it, get into in more niche down to where you're specifically looking for who your ideal client might be as the audience. And then as you get really good, you don't, who cares anymore, but you want to go for big. And as long as they're in the general thing, right? If you're teaching people how to bake cakes and it's about ice cream, that's probably okay if they have 1 million listeners every episode.
Because ice cream cakes are a thing.
Exactly.
Exactly, right? So you were talking about it really kind of developing the salesperson, or the person that's guesting is really what you're doing on that side. My question that I had for you with that was, let's put lead gen aside for the moment. We understand that that's the primary thing, but besides for that, how does guesting on podcasts help someone, this is the guest, sharpen their story, maybe sharpen and better explain their offer, be able to have, they're getting reps to be able to talk about what they do without sounding robotic, sounding like they're not really be able to explain what they do to the audience. Kind of dive into that one, if you would, Joe.
Yeah. And this is kind of like the like the most fun part for me is to watch this happen,
Right.
right? With the clients as when they come in, and some of them are just, I mean, nervous. Thank God they're not in front of the audience because their knees would be shaking, right? And because public speaking is one of the biggest fears out there, even more than death for a lot of people. All right.
Right.
So one, it gets you over that, but it does, right? It develops your ability to tell your story in a timely manner, in a concise way. And knowing how far back to go in your
Mhm.
story, because when we tell people to tell your story, it's part of our formula. It was like, it's not, well, there was on a dark and stormy night back in 1982. Like, we're not okay. And also how to tell it in a way that that follows a particular pattern that's
Mhm.
that's something people are used to in stories. And then it also helps you with your ability, like you said, you don't sound as robotic the more you've done it, because you become more comfortable, even if you're uncomfortable. Right? When people say become comfortable with the uncomfortable, And being uncomfortable, they don't mean that you ever stop being uncomfortable. They just mean that
Mm.
you get better at it not bothering you so much. You can harness it, right? And then, but also you have to learn how to explain your offer in a better way, your product in a better way. Because if you're stumbling and bumbling on a podcast, I mean, you no longer sound like the expert. You sound like the idiot, and no one wants to be the idiot, right? So
Let me actually, you're diving right into the next thing I had written down for you is like, do you have a recommendation or a particular structure that you have guests go through so they can actually get their talking points out and sound valuable, natural, all of that? Have you like kind of honed down a particular process for that?
yeah, absolutely. We have 5 steps in our process,
Mhm.
and it's you walk through it each one step by step. Right? It starts with right, acknowledge the host, welcome the audience, own your story. Then we go into teaching points, and we break down how to teach those, how many points you should teach, and then how to get into your offer. And in the offer is, people don't think of it all the time, but the gift I'm giving to the audience, that's an offer. What I'm telling you is right. I have this thing for you, and most people are like, well, it's a free thing, so it's not really an offer. Yes, it is. It's no different than a sale. It's just I'm doing it in a way where I'm not charging money, but you have to give me something for it. So it's not without some kind of interaction and transaction between you and the person
Right.
doing it. So you have to think of it the same way, right? And it has to be captivating enough.
Hmm.
There has to be a compelling reason behind it, right? Like, I didn't start Align Speaker Academy with Ginny Trask because we had no passion for it, right? The thing is
Hmm.
that there are people that are out there looking for you. And I'm telling this to everybody right now that's listening. Your people that you are meant to help are out there looking for you. And if they can't find you, that's to me unacceptable.
It's a disservice.
Yes. And I want you to be found.
Hmm.
And one of the best ways you can do that is through podcast guesting. But if nothing else, no matter what you do, you need a great lead magnet to capture those leads, or else you're wasting your time. So all you have to do is go to greatleadmagnet.com, put in your name and email, and you will get an instructional video that will walk you through exactly how to create a great lead magnet for your business. That's my gift
Fantastic,
to you.
man. Well, I like where you're going. Gosh, Joe, you're like literally just a half a step ahead of every question I've got. So this is kind of perfect. Um, the episode's done. The live date of when it's posted takes place as of right now. What is the follow-up system? Like, do you have a particular recommendation of like how you would want this to appear? Do you have it of where once they've taken action with the lead magnet, what's the follow-up process? What does that all look like?
Instant email thanking them
Okay.
right away. And then you're in my cadence. And in the
Hmm.
beginning, there's a specific, we walk through a 14 email sequence in the beginning, and then you're into the regular email chain, just like clockwork. And it's all automated. I don't do anything. I mean, other than proofread the emails that my virtual assistants, that my VA writes for me. Okay.
Right.
I mean, she knows we give her the idea of what we want, and then she puts it together for us. Like, that's it. Right. But automate it, automate it, automate it, automate it, because you're not going to email them if you have to do it all on your own. You won't do it.
Right.
I guarantee you won't do it. I'd make a bet. If you had 7,000 people on the email list, you would not sit down and email 7,000 people in a day. You wouldn't do it. It would
No.
actually, it would hurt your ability to even send emails. That's why we use systems, right? So, and it's about making sure that you do it the right way, so you don't end up becoming, just spam.
Right.
So, but once you're in, that's it. Once you're in, unless you unsubscribe, you will never stop getting an email from me. No different than as a salesperson. If you gave me a lead and I have your phone number and you do not answer me or tell me you don't want me to call you anymore, I am calling you until you die or
Yeah.
I die. One of the two.
And then if it's automated, it's just going to continue on afterwards.
Yeah.
All right, man. One last question for you. Again, I appreciate so much about this. This is so valuable. But let's just say that if one of these listeners is like, I want to start, but they're not thinking that I'm not famous, I'm not ready. What's the simplest first step to get booked and stop overthinking this?
Do it. That I know it sounds like, oh, wow, all that's not even profound. Yes, it is. Just do it. Just apply to go on a show. Just talk to people. Just whatever. Or again, go to greatleadmagnet.com, get into my system, maybe join my program.
Mhm.
If you don't feel like you're ready, you'll get ready. Believe me. We do weekly coachings as a group. We have twice a week coaching sessions. We actually have one of our original clients has been upgraded and certified as an aligned speaker coach, and she works with our folks as well. She's gotten to that point at this level, and we come in and we are there to coach you. Like, I have clients every week. They're sending me podcasts. I'm listening to them. I'm providing them feedback. Like, it doesn't matter where you're at in the process. If you're at the very beginning, you're scared, you don't know if you can do it. Download the lead mag, go to greatleadmagnet.com, give me your info, hop on a call with us, join the program, guarantee you'll be good. And you'll be surprised at how quickly you go from scared and not ready to killing it.
Exactly. Dude, I appreciate it. Joe, thank you so much for your time on this one. Listeners, this was Mr. Always Good, Joe Moghaizel himself. You all take care. Thank you.